Good evening and welcome to Primm Stadium in Hopkins County in Sulphur Springs, where your Paris Wildcats are getting ready for another District 7 4A Division I matchup with the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. A vitally important game, not just for playoff seeding, but also for playoff comfort in this very challenging game in this very challenging district that Paris is in. Of course, I'm Stephen Johnston, Evan Brazil joining me here tonight. And Evan, as you walked into the stadium, the first thing out of your mouth was biggest game of the season.
Oh, absolutely, Stephen. And we were saying earlier on that Paris was going to have to upset a Salina, a Panther Creek, or a Sulphur Springs, and this is where you do it right here. If you want to punch your tickets to the playoffs tonight, or almost do so, you absolutely have to have this game, Stephen.
And, of course, the Sulphur Springs Wildcats, they have had their bye week, so they sit at 5-1 overall on the season. The lone loss came against Salina 38-14 just last week, where they also lost their quarterback, Deuce Timmons, and that's unfortunate. Of course, he's one of the most dynamic players in the district, and stepping into that role is going to be Mason Cooper, a senior quarterback, and had an opportunity to look at him. And good-looking kid, big kid, almost looks more like a linebacker than he does a quarterback, and he can certainly sling it. So 1-1 in district. Their victory was against Aubrey. And for the Paris Wildcats, they are 5-2 on the season and 2-1 in district play, have yet to have their bye week. Thus far, they started out with a win over Lake Dallas 20-14 and then lost to Panther Creek at the Star before taking care of Aubrey last week 49-17. And by the way, that Sulphur Springs Aubrey game was 45-14. So those two games very, very similar, at least in the box score. And that's, kind of what we're expecting here tonight is a very close, even game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if there's such a thing as a measuring stick in football, it's playing a common opponent like that. Stephen, what's really going to be the key to this game for Paris is getting Tyler Heath into a rhythm early and feeding the ball to your star running back, Jerron Baugh. He had an absolutely incredible performance last week, 4 first-half touchdowns, just an absolute beast of a running back, and you'll want to get the ball to him early and often.
Yeah, and they plan on doing it in a variety of ways, not just on the ground, but I think tonight they plan on throwing the ball to him and using the passing game as an extension of the run. Whenever I talked to Coach Hohenberger earlier this week, he said, you know what, we're going with that 80s Lakers theme. It's showtime. We're going to come out. We're going to spread the ball out. A lot of empty back sets with Jerron lined up in the slot. And so they're going to go 5 wide quite often. So expect the Paris Wildcats to, utilize Jerron Baugh, but probably doing so more in the passing game this week. He did have 2 receiving touchdowns, by the way, a week ago in the first half against Aubrey. And Tyler Heath, we were so focused and enamored with Jerron Baugh having those 4 first-half touchdowns. You look up after the game, and Tyler Heath had 6 total on the night, and it's the quietest 6 touchdowns that you've ever seen, probably in football history, and that's because of the show that Jerron Baugh put on in the first half.
Absolutely, and we know Tyler Heath is a deeply unselfish player, just a guy who's willing to spread the ball all around to lots of different guys. And as you mentioned, Jerron Baugh is absolutely deadly in the short passing game, those wheel routes, the swing pass, when you can get it to him on the edge, when he's lined up in the slot, screen pass it to him out on the boundary side, or rather the field side. He's a guy that can absolutely hurt a defense in space.
And that doesn't even include some of the weapons that the Paris Wildcats have. Red Finch, who has led the Paris Wildcats in yards and touchdown receptions this year, really didn't play a whole lot of offense last week against Aubrey. He was mainly on the defensive side. Coach Hohenberger has, been very, very methodical and very diligent about the snap count for players. There's no Travis Hunters on this team where you're going to go whole side one way, whole side the other way, offense, defense. he doesn't really love that because of the wear and tear from this district, because you're going to go face a top 10 team week in and week out. He wants, whenever you get to Salina, when you get to Community, and then when you get to the playoffs especially, he wants a healthy and rested team. So Red Finch, your leading receiver, only played a handful of offensive snaps, and it was young men like Ball. We also saw Fabian Brown, catch a touchdown from Tyler Heath. We saw Tyler Heath run one in himself. And so, this cast for the Paris Wildcats on offense, they go really, really deep whenever it comes to those pass catchers.
And isn't that such a luxury to have, to be able to fully load skill positions on both sides of the ball and feel good about the guys you're putting in the game and be able to rest your skill players, your best ones, for half of the possessions is really a luxury that Paris can afford because of just the depth they have at those skill positions at defensive back, at safety, at receiver, and running back as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they've certainly been stingy. Yeah, gave up 51 at the Star against Panther Creek. Lights were big, the stage was bright and all this, that, and the other, and didn't show up to play their best game. But against Lake Dallas, you give up 14. Against Aubrey, you give up 14 in the first 3 offensive plays that Aubrey runs, and then you give up 3 points the rest of the entirety of the ball game. And so this Paris Wildcat defense is, nothing to turn your nose up at either.
Oh, absolutely. And, we have seen Paris in the last few years occasionally get skunked on the road. I don't believe that's going to be the case tonight, Steven. This is your biggest in-district rival. I believe they're going to come out and play their best game tonight.
Yeah, and you mentioned being the biggest in-district rival. Of course, Salina is the big boy, Panther Creek out of DFW, the, glitz and glam we just talked about, playing at the Star and everything of that nature. But these are the two teams that are the most familiar with one another. Whenever you mention that rivalry, both of these teams, you can go back decades, and they're roughly 40 minutes in a drive, because that's how we measure distance, is in time. 40 minutes of a drive from one another, and so this is going to be a long, storied rivalry between these two teams, and I expect a shootout, man. I'm expecting that 38-35 type of ball game here tonight as we get under 3 minutes until kickoff. Smoke coming up from the Paris Wildcat inflatable, and here come the Paris Wildcats, led by Chris Garcia and the flag group. And, man, I tell you what, Chris Garcia is having one heck of a season. As a matter of fact, the first tackle that he makes tonight will be his 100th on the year. He is sitting at 99 total tackles on the season, the senior middle linebacker, Chris Garcia.
And Steven, the style of defense that Paris runs, with that traditional Mike linebacker really doesn't work unless you have a guy like Chris Garcia who can be sort of your quarterback on defense, who can, who really deeply understands the run fit, who can play like he's everywhere on the field at once. Just an incredibly talented man that's going to go on to play Saturday football.
He certainly will. And, you might look at the defensive linemen and think, okay, traditional 3-4, right? You got the 3 down linemen, you got the 2 outside backers. It's really actually 5 guys on the line and then Chris Garcia at the mic, right? You don't have that 4th linebacker standing next to Chris. It may be a safety like Caden Newberry, who, by the way, had an outstanding game in his own right last week, 16 tackles, phenomenal game for that young man. And then really, other than that, it's Garcia. You guys up front go man on man, hat on hat. I'm going to pick the gaps, I'm going to fill them, and I'm going to make the tackle. We have the national anthem coming up for you guys, and as soon as that is wrapped up, we will kick off from Prim Stadium. That's interesting. I don't know if our crowd mic is working too. There we go. All right. Thank you so much to the Sulphur Springs Band for that rendition of our nation's anthem. And captains getting ready to head out onto the field. We'll have the coin toss, and then we will get this one kicked off from Prim Stadium here in Hopkins County. Just a short drive away from Paris, and we have a good crowd from Paris, most certainly. And it'll be Chris Garcia, looks like Cam Floyd, Keyshawn Roberts, and Davion Harrison, the captains for the Paris Wildcats. And I'll tell you, each and every one of those young men have been supremely impactful this season. We touched on Chris Garcia. That's a young man that you talk about Paris Wildcat defense. His name's going to get brought up in every single conversation. Cam Floyd, I think, is the tier next in terms of guys who are so vitally important to this defense.
Absolutely, and think about how many games this season they've just been able to play lockdown coverage from kickoff to the very end of the game.
It's kind of funny how on one end your outside backer is Boots Harper, stands about 6'2", long, strong, athletic kid, and on the other side is Cam Floyd, who's probably about 5'8", 5'9", unsuspecting size, but I tell you what, when you talk about football mentality, those three linebackers that the Paris Wildcats bring, they define what you need in a football player mentally, and it looks like it's going to be Sulphur Springs to receive the opening kickoff, which means Paris will kick it away and start the second half with the football. As you guys are coming in and watching Paris Wildcat football on Paris Gameday, if you're on Facebook, be sure to give the game a share so that people in the community can know where to watch Paris Wildcat football. We appreciate it greatly, and we'd like to thank our presenting sponsors, Texas Furniture and Appliance and Red River Credit Union. Those are the guys who make Paris Gameday possible. And this is going to be an exciting one. We mentioned in that Salina game, Evan, quarterback goes down for Sulphur Springs. That's adversity right there. We're going to get a look at Mason Cooper, the senior quarterback for Sulphur Springs, and see what he's kind of made of against a team that's not Salina, but certainly a team that hangs their hat on defense in the Silver Crush Paris Wildcats.
Absolutely, and this is a heck of a spot to make your first start of the season against your biggest in-district rival. So we'll see how he fills the shoes of, as you mentioned, one of the most dynamic players in the district in Deuce Timmons.
Jackson Hare, a very dynamic player for Sulphur Springs, along with Dobson Martin. Back deep to receive the kick from the sophomore kicker, James Mitchell, for the Paris Wildcats. Mitchell has been really good, especially considering how he started the year, a little inconsistent in camp and in the preseason, but he has been the model of consistency for these Paris Wildcats. Kicks it high and deep, and it'll be taken by Martin around the 5, and it's on the ground, and I'm not sure. I think Sulphur Springs jumped on it, but nonetheless, it won't be the best starting field position for the Hopkins County Wildcats, and that's not the best way to help your quarterback in his first start.
Big game, big lights. Sulphur Springs muffs the opening kickoff. That's it's not how you want to get started against a hated district rival.
And that thing jumped off his chest whenever it hit. Paris might have had a shot at it, but the Sulphur Springs Wildcat jumped on it. Another player to watch for Sulphur Springs is going to be their big left tackle, Vincent Johnson, standing at 6'6", 310 pounds. Just a monster of a man. Cooper out of the gun, man in motion. They're going to fire out right side immediately, breaking a tackle. And that's a good first down play for Sulphur Springs, setting up second and short. And that's probably a good play call to get things started. You're not in great field position. First time starting quarterback. Let's get him something easy out on the perimeter. Hard count. Looking over to the sideline, giving orders to the offensive line is Cooper. Now takes the snap, and this ball's on the ground. Cooper kind of has to throw it away, and there's Hare, and he'll be taken down by Garcia in the backfield, and that is exactly what you needed for the Paris Wildcats after a good first down play from Sulphur Springs.
Yeah, more than more than wipes out the gain on first down. Take
It is good. It is 7-0. Sulphur Springs with the lead. We'll be back with kickoff coming up on Game Day.
Yay! We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks. I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you gonna clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you gonna clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
And we're back here at Prim Stadium where the Paris Wildcats looking to get the offense on the field for the first time. See Aldrin Gill along with Keyshawn Roberts and Marquis Shelton back deep.
You really want to get off to a hot start here. You know, as you predicted, if this turns into a shootout, you want to get going early and often.
And especially with what you just saw from Sulphur Springs offensively. Now, Paris, they do a great job of adjusting, right? We saw that last week with Aubrey, but Sulphur Springs did a phenomenal job of moving the ball down the field. And if you're the Wildcat offense, you're hoping that, same case with Aubrey, you start hot as well. High kick taken around the 10-yard line. This will be Shelton looking for space, and he'll be taken down around the 18, 19-yard line, and that's where the Paris Wildcat offense will come out onto the field as Sulphur Springs playing to the echo of the whistle.
Yeah, we see him get thrown down well after the whistle there.
And he was inside the 10-yard line. Nonetheless, it'll be Tyler Heath and this Wildcat offense with about 7 minutes to go here in the first quarter. And let's see how they line up coming out. And they're going to go single back set with Jerron Ball. And let's see if they use him to identify zone or man, or if they keep him in the backfield. There it goes. He will go towards trips to the right. They're going to throw it out to Fabian Brown. Brown pushes ahead for about a gain of 3 or 4. And that's what we talked about before the game. Empty backfield, using the pass as an extension of the run. They go empty again. Heath out of the gun. Hard count, and then looking to the sideline here on 2nd and 6. And flag comes out. They're going to get Paris with a false start.
Really see who it might have been on.
I didn't quite see it either. But nonetheless, it'll be 2nd down and 11.
Paris playing right in front of that loud Sulphur Springs student section.
Heath takes the snap, looks to his right, and then he'll take off and gets upended around the 20 to the 21 perhaps. And so kind of right back where they started before the penalty, close to it. And it'll bring up 3rd down.
This is where you want to get the ball to a playmaker in space. Look for them to send Jerron Baugh in motion, create a little something on offense here.
And it looks like Sulphur either in a quarters or cover 2. Rolling out to the right, looking downfield, and throwing incomplete to Jerron Baugh. And it'll be a quick 3 and out for the Paris Wildcats. And that's really unfortunate because the last thing you wanted to do is take, minute and a half off the clock and give it right back to a Sulphur Springs team that went right down the field.
Absolutely. That was able to move the ball with efficiency on that first possession.
And a high, relatively short kick taken by Sulphur Springs. And that is where their offense will come out onto the field. And, man, really interesting. They kind of fooled me as Sulphur Springs, they were bringing a young man over to the sideline, and I thought he was just kind of lumbering off the field, you know, and might have had a shot at too many men on the field. But, no, he stood on the field of play, just had a little conversation with his coach during that, like during the punt. It was really interesting to see.
Communication wins wars, Steven.
So trips at the bottom of your screen as Cooper takes the snap, fakes the handoff, looking. He'll fire deep, has a man overthrown. And good thing, too, because Jamarian Jeffrey was all alone, had about 4 or 5 steps on the defender.
And that was a tough break for Brendan Shores there. And for this senior quarterback, you know, coming in off the bench, that's a very big throw to miss early in this game. What we want to see from Paris is them really be able to follow these guys down the field, because Sulphur Springs has some weapons that can hurt you deep.
Snap, handoff. Paris is right there. Chris Garcia gets to him first, and then Boots Harper cleans it up. So that'll set up third down and long. And interestingly enough, we're going to mark his forward progress well behind the line of scrimmage, saying he lost a couple of yards. So 3rd down and 12. Paris had Sulphur Springs at 3rd and 14 on their previous drive, and Sulphur was able to pick up a 1st down. Really here, you need to stop them from getting half of this if you want to think about forcing a punt, because they're certainly in the territory to go for it. Snap back, quick throw to the outside, and there's a lot of room to run. They're going to pick up the 1st down and a lot more here. Taken out of bounds. And I'll tell you what, there you go. I was going to say they could very well hit Jeffrey with a flag for taunting after that play, as he was getting into it with a Paris defender on the sideline. I think that was Harrison. And after that, you know, he certainly was taunting.
Absolutely, and it looked like the extracurriculars, you know, past the boundaries certainly went both ways, but
yeah, they were keeping the flags in the pocket on, you know, the little bit of pushing after, and that's okay because both are doing it, right? You know, either way, that would have been, you know, that would have been offsetting penalties if you were to throw a flag on that. But, you know, I see some Sulphur Springs fans standing and yelling and being upset. Brother, watch some ball, because he definitely was doing something that's not allowed in high school football.
Oh, absolutely, and it's way more strict than what we're used to in college and in the NFL. Taunting is way easier to be penalized with at the high school level. And that almost completely wipes out the 3rd down gain. Obviously, you know, tunnel screen, very impressive for them to be able to pick that up, but that erases it and puts them almost back to where they were.
So there was some discussion regarding, okay, they were talking about the chain gang, and they're absolutely right. This should not be a 1st and 25. You pick up the 1st down, it's a dead ball, personal foul, you push it back. It should be 1st and 10 just from the 35.
Yes, sir.
Good job on the officials getting that one right. Now, Paris maybe would prefer the 1st and 25, but that's not what the rule calls for. So Cooper out of the gun, 3 wide, heavy to the left. Snap back, handoff left side, and man, it was blocked up perfectly. And there was not much that Paris was doing on that wide side of the field.
You know, we really haven't seen them be physically dominated to this point. Just Sulphur Springs able to scheme up chunk play after chunk play, swing passes out on the edge, these screens that are hitting Paris for 15, 20, 30 yards. That's not going to be profitable to do as a defense, giving up all these kinds of chunk plays.
Trips at the bottom of your screen. Cooper looking to the sideline. Snap rolling out to his right, looking into the flat. Now under pressure, takes a huge hit from Chris Garcia, and helmet comes off on a clean legal hit, and Cooper will have to come out of the game. Yeah, he'll have to come out for a play. So 2nd and goal, and they have a simple solution to this, Sulphur Springs. They just go to the Wildcat with Jackson Hare.
Yeah, Chris Garcia is not really a guy that you're going to string out on the boundary.
I mean, he came in hot and delivered really the perfect hit.
It's like watching a lion pounce on a gazelle, him realizing he's got the angle on him, and he just takes off and delivers a punishing hit that takes the man's hat off.
Now, as Sulphur Springs makes their personnel changes, it will be Hare as the Wildcat quarterback, and hands off or takes it around the left side himself and is into the end zone as Sulphur Springs extends their lead. And now it will be very vital when Paris gets this ball back to not just, you want points on the board, but really you need to stay on the field for a little bit to give your defense a breath.
Absolutely. And on that option play and from the Wildcat, Paris stays home, and your Wildcat quarterback makes the wrong read and is still able to beat you inside for a touchdown.
So extra point attempt coming, brought to you by Lone Star Collision Center. Kick is up, and it is good. 14-0 Sulphur Springs over Paris. We'll be right back coming up here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh yeah, Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
And we are back here in Hopkins County, Primm Stadium, as Sulphur Springs getting ready to kick off to the Paris Wildcats. First half kickoffs tonight brought to you by Stephen Walker, Paris injury attorney. Thank you so much to Stephen Walker for being a part of Paris Game Day as we grow throughout our wonderful county. Let people know about where they can watch our local high school athletes. If you're tuned in on Facebook, give the game a share to your page and let all your friends see where they can catch Paris Wildcat football, and hopefully they'll be watching a nice comeback as Paris trails 14-0, 4 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And this one, line drive kick taken around the 10 as Keyshawn Roberts splits a couple of tackles, and we'll take it across the 25. And we'll see what the offense comes out as, because I can tell you something about Coach Hohenberger. He loves to try new things. He really does. When he gets a look at it, if it works, of course he's going to keep doing it. If that new thing doesn't work out like it did in that first drive, we're going back to bread and butter, baby. Put Jerome ball back in the backfield. Let's hand it off, get the run game going.
Absolutely. A very pragmatic guy. You know, Steven, it's certainly too early to panic, but you come out on offense first drive and do exactly what you can't do and going 3 and out. They're going to have to put something together on this drive.
So it is Ball, the lone back, in the backfield, and They're going to throw it out to Brown. Brown has a man blocking. That's Jacabrian record. Picks up 4, just as they did on first down their previous drive. And I got to talk to Baby J, Jacabrian Brown, earlier, and he talked about the willingness to block and the unselfishness of receivers in this crew. And that certainly has been the case as Boss starts to sprint out and then comes back as Heath checking with the sideline for a change in play. Dropping back, throwing, Fabian once again, and he'll be close to first down yardage. It'll bring up 3rd and 1.
Fabian Brown, a very shifty guy with great ball skills. You know, he's one of those sophomores that's really going to be the future of this program as we have a Sulphur Springs Wildcat down.
We do. It is Kamari and Jeffrey, and they're able to get him up. As Paris kind of walking over to their sideline, and they'll get an extra word with their coach. It doesn't seem like this is going to take too long, as Jeffrey, fortunately, walking off under his own power. And now getting some whistles from the official. 3rd and 1. Paris has not ran the ball yet. And, of course, you know, one of the big reasons you got a D1 commit in Truth Holmes along the defensive line, who I do not see on the field, by the way, unless he's changed his number. Well, we may see our first run of the game here, and we do with Jerron Baugh, and he's pushed backwards. Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
Hey, I'm Josh Charette, project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that. Hey, I'm
I mean, there is everybody up at the line for Sulphur on this third down. And running right behind that big line is Hare, and he'll pick up the first.
Paris just blown off the line of scrimmage, blown 5, 6, 7 yards off the line there. You know, we haven't really seen Sulphur Springs have to take any risks to move the ball at will. You know, them very efficient. The swing passes, the wheel routes, the screens. It's been their bread and butter, and they've been able to march the ball down the field now 3 consecutive times on offense.
And they're going to go right back to that Wildcat. Despite it being 1st and 10, this is the first time we've seen this from them, as looks like Garcia steps up and makes the tackle. And as you said, you know, Garcia's playing well. You know, who else is going to show up kind of deal. We've seen Jeremiah Robinson make some nice plays, but really, you know, you've got that big left tackle, and they're big elsewhere too. The right tackle is a good-sized young man. Left guard is a really good-sized young man, and Paris defensive front having all sorts of trouble with it as Mason Cooper comes back into the game for Sulphur.
It's a team that desperately needs a goal line stand here. Sulphur Springs already in safe field goal range.
Here's the snap, sprint left. There's the option again. Garcia will force him out, but it looks like it'll be a first down for Sulphur Springs, and 1st and goal from the 2.
And you see Boots Carpert, him go for the ball carrier there. That's not the wrong read if you're the defender.
Yeah, someone's got to go for the pitch man. I mean,
absolutely.
Right, yeah, his assignment, hey, smoke the quarterback. He does that. You got to have someone there to smoke the running back, and Sulphur just has it blocked up well.
It's like Sulphur Springs can pick up a first down inside the 1-yard line here.
Yeah, they didn't pick up the first down. I thought they did. And it'll be 3rd down and 1 with Hare pushing his way, and I do think he has the first down. I don't know about the from where they have him marked. That does not look like a first down, does it?
Yeah, looks to have lost a little bit of yardage on the play.
Yeah, they marked him back a yard, and I wasn't so sure about that, but I'll tell you what, Sulphur sending out the field goal unit. And if you're Sulphur Springs, you know, I get the temptation on 4th and 2 from the 3 to go for it, but already a 2-score lead, make it a 3-score lead.
Absolutely. You know, a big stand in a game where you're kind of getting tossed around, being able to stop them on 3rd and short inside the 2 and hold them to a field goal.
Kick is up, and it is good, 17-0. Sulphur Springs extends their lead. We've got kickoff coming up right around the corner here on Game Day.
At Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 5-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the Loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit morecdjr.com.
And back here at Prim, it is 17-0, and not the hole that the Paris Wildcats want to be in for sure against a Sulphur Springs Wildcat team that, they probably feel like offensively, yeah, we can pick things up. We can get in the end zone. We can put up points. But defensively, are you going to be able to close that gap and keep them from adding to what they already have here tonight?
An excellent point, Stephen. A wise man told me during the commercial break, stopping a score really changes the complexion of this game. If you can go right down the field as if you're Paris and score a touchdown here, that can really change this one.
Well, and the reason why the stop changes it, even though it would be 17-7, you get the ball to start the second half. So getting that stop, get the ball back, score again, take the ball in the second half, as Keyshawn Roberts looking for running room and finds a little bit. And Keyshawn Roberts will take this up around the 30-yard line. I think Sulphur has another young man down. I don't think it's another. I think it's the same young man as earlier. So hopefully he's okay as the Paris Wildcat offense gets ready to come out onto the field, and an offense that, really has been extremely explosive this season with two exceptions, and of course that being the Pleasant Grove game that they played on the road and the Panther Creek game that they played on the road. And now here you are back on the road and having a tough time.
Absolutely. And, we had mentioned before the game started, Paris occasionally just going out and not playing their best game, getting skunked on the road. And, here's hoping this doesn't turn into another example of that trend, that they're able to right the ship and go and get a score, get the ball back at halftime, and turn this into a different game, Stephen.
Kamarion Jeffrey, again, able to walk off under his own power just as he did in the first quarter. And I'm betting they'll take a closer look at that young man this time around. Hopefully he's okay. As the Paris Wildcat offense comes out 4 wide, ball in the backfield. Heath. And they're going to hand it to Baugh, and he'll fight for more yards than, honestly, what were there.
Absolutely.
Hello everyone, I'm Jason with Golden Corral in Texarkana. I've got big cheers going out to Lone Star Heating and Air. I talked with Matt Shirley over at Lone Star Heating and Air. They actually came out, looked to see what we needed. They ordered the supplies or the equipment and everything. They came in and they did the install. They did 2 units in 1 day with no business disruptions whatsoever. Thanks to Lone Star Heating and Air, we got our air up and going and everything's running good.
And I think that the Paris coaches really wanted that snap with the defender from Sulphur Springs coming into the neutral zone. Not only it gives you the first down's taken care of, it gives you the opportunity to take a shot with no consequence.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we've seen Tyler Heath really hurt some defenses this year on those free plays, taking those deep balls. Big missed opportunity there.
Now Heath out of the gun, single back, and big face, and no call on what looked like a face mask from up here.
All the telltale signs of a face mask, the, helmet moving independently of the player's head almost.
And I immediately saw where there was no flag thrown. And that'll bring up 3rd down and long.
It's a really tough way to get put in a tough down and distance for Paris.
And so Heath, hard pump, has a man deep. And this one into the end zone. It's Jacabrian Record. And I tell you what, we talked a lot, me and that young man this week about the term no block, no rock. That young man will go out and block his tail off. He hasn't necessarily been getting the balls that he's wanted this year, but lo and behold, he has rewarded with a deep ball from Tyler Heath.
Steven, you're on the road. You're down 17 to a hated district rival. It's 3rd and 10, a missed call on the previous play. That's exactly what you need. Take the top off this defense who's really been physically dominating you this whole game and put yourself right back in this one, getting the ball to start the second half.
High snap. The rest of the operation is good for the extra point, 17-7. Paris on the board. They'll be kicking off to Sulphur Springs right around the corner when we come back on Game Day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Oh, thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
And we are back here on Game Day as Paris Wildcats on the board. And, like I was saying, you get that score, all right? You go and get this stop. Head into halftime, get the ball back. We got a brand new ball game.
Oh, absolutely. And what that's going to require, though, is your defense making their first stop of this game. You absolutely can't let them go down and erase what your offense was able to generate. Let's see if they can make some adjustments, scheme in a wrinkle in this, what has been to this point an incredibly efficient Sulphur Springs offense.
And so Mitchell set to kick this one away for the Paris Wildcats. Hare, Martin back deep for Sulphur Springs. Now Mitchell. High and deep, taken around the 14-yard line, and Martin across the 30 to around the 35. That's where he'll be taken down. And yeah, a pretty critical possession here either way. If you're Sulphur Springs, you feel like you can really be in a command.
To help you get a big stop.
And it'll be Martin in the backfield this time for the Sulphur Springs. As the officials check this one out. And so you know, guys, we're aware of the technical difficulties on the sound side of things with our broadcast. You know, whenever that goes down, not sure exactly what it is. We'll take a look at it at halftime while the bands are performing, but there's the hold against Sulphur Springs, and
looks to be a chop block. They'll move back 15 yards here from the spot.
So chop block, that's for Paris even better. And you know, back to what we were saying, by all means, should sound go down, you guys enjoy watching Paris Wildcat football here on Paris Game Day as we continue to make those adjustments. It looks like it'll be Mason and Hare in the backfield with 4 wide.
Paris maybe simulating the pressure on this one. It's a really dangerous part of their defense, the ability to confuse quarterbacks with the simulated pressures.
And pressure coming right up the middle. Marquise Shelton comes up with the interception, turning the corner, and he is still up on his feet. Maybe should have gone down. He's going to lose yards. But nonetheless, the Paris Wildcats now are going to come out on offense with new life.
And Steven, if you're Sulphur Springs, you're going into this game with a backup quarterback, and you know that's just a bad throw. He may be trying to lead the receiver inside there. That's against his leverage, and
yes,
just an inaccurate ball.
And Marquise Shelton, I tell you what, Sulphur Springs has made a couple of tackles that have prevented massive plays, and that time, if Marquise Shelton is able to break that one, he is coming the other way down the sideline. Probably doesn't reach the end zone, but well in Sulphur Springs territory.
Absolutely. He had an open lane all the way up past midfield there.
Now, also, look where the sticks are versus where the ball is at. Oh, they're going to say a face mask against Sulphur Springs after the interception. So this will push Paris up quite a bit.
Sulphur Springs looking a little bit rattled in this game at this point. You know, Paris moves the ball for the first time on offense, goes down and gets a big score. You know, you have some big penalties, the chop block that hurts you on that drive. Your backup quarterback throws a costly interception. You know, on a possession where you could really drive and almost, you know, put this game away, put yourself in firm control. And now Paris right up around midfield, and they have the chance to make this a much different game.
I mean, think about this. 3:15 to go in the half. You've got 2 timeouts. Clock is not really much of a factor. You get the ball to start the second half. Imagine Paris leading about midway through the third. Would you have ever thought after that first quarter? And they're going to get the ball out to Red Finch, and Red making a run. Red Finch cutting left, right, first down, Paris Wildcats.
Oh, man, and this Paris sideline has gotten an absolute shot in the arm. This team looks energized. You know, we had seen them be dominated through 18 minutes of football in this game, a whole quarter and a half with really no life on either side of the ball, and here they come. knocking on the door of Sulphur Springs 30.
Heath takes the snap, looking left, looking right, pulls it down. He's going to run, makes a man miss, and then gets tripped up after a gain of 7. And that's actually, I think that's a good thing. You keep that clock rolling. You want to eat that up so that you don't give Sulphur Springs the ball back with any kind of time.
Absolutely. Imagine getting a score here and going into getting the ball at halftime only down 3 points.
They nearly got Sulphur to jump once again, and Sulphur stays a solid yard off the ball, and that kind of gives them that wiggle room there. 2nd and 3. Looking down the sideline or up the seam, and that is Jacabrian record once again. And now Paris, 1st and goal. Of course, they're going to wind that clock. You're going to have the 2-minute timeout. And that's exactly what's about to go on here is he's asking for the clock to start. And there we are. All right, 2 minutes until the half. Paris knocking on the doorstep. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
And we are back here on Game Day as the Paris Wildcats coming out of their timeout. Second quarter brought to you by Moore CDJR. Thank you so much to Montgomery Moore.
Stephen, we discussed Paris unlocking that explosive dimension of their offense in the passing game. And, 2 huge passes on these last 2 drives to record to get inside the 5, and on the previous drive, the touchdown pass. And they have the position to completely flip the script in this one.
You got one-on-one with Red Finch out on the sideline, and they go to the run game, and there is a big man up front that is very disruptive in Truth Holmes. So that'll push them back a couple of yards. And I'll tell you this, Paris, I don't know if that run, of course you want to score. That run is to get that clock moving again so that when you score, you don't give Sulphur Springs just a ton of time back to move down the field.
Absolutely. You feel great about a field goal from inside the 10-yard line here, and you would love to go into halftime only down 1 touchdown, getting the ball at half.
This one's going to Red. Yeah, there it is. Jump ball into the end zone. Really well played by Sulphur Springs. And that was Creed Wisenhunt on the coverage. But, yeah, they saw what I saw in that previous play, went to him. I don't blame them. Brings up 3rd down.
You would have liked to see Tyler Heath put that ball a little higher. Obviously, Red Finch with the height advantage over the defender. Great job in pass coverage to be able to go one-on-one with Red Finch. Certainly no easy feat there as Paris finds himself in 3rd and goal.
So the receivers are going to be Keyshawn Roberts, Red Finch, Jacabrian Record, and Fabian Brown. As Roberts comes in motion, here's the snap, rolling out to the right and throwing back of the end zone. He's got Red. Touchdown, Paris Wildcats, and they are back in this one.
And they go right back to him in the same spot of the end zone and come up big. I mean, how quickly did this game change? Where Paris through a quarter and a half, we saw little to no life from them, and them kind of start the game slowly, and now all of a sudden them able to thunder back with 2 second-quarter touchdowns.
And we talked about it earlier that Red not really involved in an explosive offense last week because he was playing mainly defense here. 2 massive catches here in the second quarter. Another high snap handled by Harper. The kick is up, and it is good. 17-14. Paris trailing, but we got a ball game here at the Prim in Sulphur Springs here on Game Day.
At Raffaele Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
Back here on game day, 1:06 to go in the half. Paris down 17. Back-to-back scores. We talked about needing that crucial defensive play. Someone needs to step up, create a turnover. It came in the form of Marquis Shelton out on the boundary on a Mason Cooper deep ball.
Absolutely.
Paris goes right down the field and scores.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, how much deja vu were we experiencing in this game? You know, Paris a couple of times earlier this season going on the road and not playing their best football, kind of getting skunked as we saw them do several times on the road last year, but them able to rally back in the second quarter.
And now what you need to do is kind of prevent disaster, if you will. 1:06, 1:09 on the clock, depending on which clock you're looking at. And so if you're able to keep Sulphur Springs a little bit at bay as they get out to about the 25 here. So 1 minute after the kickoff, even better. Sulphur does have 2 timeouts.
You know, we want to think about this from the perspective of the Sulphur Springs Wildcats. You know, you're up 17 in this game. You're moving the ball at will on offense, able to get chunk play after chunk play. And then all of this sudden, you know, your lead is almost completely evaporated. You're up only 3 against your in-district rival. A big interception thrown by your backup quarterback,
who will be your starter the rest of the way. And he's done a good job tonight, especially when they've, you know, had him kind of manage the short area of the field. Here, sprint out, and there's nothing there. Boots Harper coming down with him. And, of course, Sulphur is asking for a face mask. I don't know what kind of argument there is there, but this is set way back.
Yeah, and, you know, Sulphur Springs allowed to get away with what looked from up here to be an obvious face mask on quarterback Tyler Heath, so maybe a measure of payback there by the huge sack by Boots Harper. You know, Sulphur Springs looking a little rattled, needing to get something on offense with the minute remaining, 2 timeouts. And
well, now just how slow they've moved after that sack, I don't know that they're really trying. You know, they'll hand this one off, look to pop something, and, you know, even if they do, which, you know, really good game there, but that's probably going to do it for the half as Jackson Hare moves right back to around the original line of scrimmage. But that Boots Harper sack looked like a busted option play. Like the quarterback Cooper was looking for that option pitch man, and he'd already been smoked by Boots a couple of times on that option. The pitch man wasn't there. Boots Harper continued his assignment. And so that is phenomenal and a great way for Paris to end the first half here in Sulphur Springs. And while they get ready to put the band on the field, we're going to take a break. But, Evan, man, I tell you what, got behind the 8 ball, got down early, and came out nose bloody, eyes swollen shut, and they just deliver a haymaker to Sulphur Springs.
They do, and going back to that last offensive drive, you know, obviously the incredible diving catch inside the 5-yard line by Record, and them just here, you got the chance to take the lead in a game that looked like it was almost out of hand.
We'll be right back with halftime here on Game Day.
We're so excited you decided to become a member.
Thanks, I didn't think it would be this easy.
I know. We've opened up memberships so even more people can take advantage of our amazing services.
Are you gonna clean this up?
Become a new member and take advantage of all RRCU can offer. Experience the credit union difference anytime, anywhere.
No, seriously, are you gonna clean this up?
Do you RRCU?
Blazer officers are Lieutenant Zabby Guzman, Lieutenant Kylie Davis, and Captain April Medina. The Blazer of the week is Maya Wilkins. Tonight, the Blazers will be performing their routine to the hit song, I'm Still Standing, played by the amazing Blue Blazers Band. Thank you, Wildcat Nation, for your continued support, and we hope you enjoy the performance. To continue the halftime performance, please welcome to the field the Paris Blue Blazers Band. The band is under the field direction of drum majors Stephanie Gutierrez, Maria Nichols, and Jewel Amori. Soloists tonight are Miranda Hernandez on alto sax, Sandy Gomez on flute, Cameron Person on bass clarinet, and Lindsay Holloman on mellophone. Wildcats of the week are Brooklyn Thompson, Alex Hinojosa, and Evan Essery. The section of the week is the mellophones. At the edge of the world, where nature is still wild, mysterious colors weave their way through the night sky. Tonight, we are presenting our full competition show, including Dance 1, No Place Like Home, and Eleanor Rigby. Please enjoy the Paris Blue Blazers Band and Skyfire. the Blue Blazers Band.
Welcome to the Wildcat Halftime Takeover. Here to put the show in showtime, the Sulphur Springs High School proudly presents their award-winning balloon ballet band. The 64th line to strike up the band include your sergeant, William Perez, Chelsea Molina, Vanessa Herrera, Maria Miranda, and Cameron Smith.
and right the ship because, to start this game, Paris, 2 straight 3-and-outs, didn't get a single first down until their third possession, and then on possessions 3 and 4, able to score a touchdown on both with some great action in that deep passing game. Tyler Heath really able to attack this defense down the field, and, if you're Paris, just what a way to fight back in this game, where it looked like nothing was going your way. You're being throttled and physically dominated. Sulphur Springs out scheming you on defense, and them finally able to put themselves back in this game now with the ball at halftime and a chance to take the lead.
Keyshawn Roberts, Marquise Shelton, and Red Finch back deep for the Paris Wildcats. Each of those young men making great contributions to that great second quarter for the Paris Wildcats. And yeah, it'd be bizarre to think that Paris could take a lead with this possession. And the third quarter is underway on a line drive kick. Takes a hop. It's taken by Keyshawn Roberts around the left side, and he's going to be tackled at around the 12. And I tell you, even though that's a quick line drive kickoff, whenever it skipped, it kind of hung in the air for a little bit, and I think that gave Sulphur Springs a great opportunity to get down in coverage.
It's a big random element in the game of football, on kicking plays, how that ball is going to bounce. Paris starting in tough field position, but with all the momentum in this game, their offense absolutely rolled on those 2 possessions they had in the second quarter, able to put up 2 touchdowns and cut it back to a 3-point lead.
So we saw the 5-wide empty set go unsuccessful the first couple of drives for the Paris Wildcats. Coach Hohenberger stuck to it, believed in the game plan, and since then it has been wildly successful as you're going to have Tyler Heath run for a couple and then slide down.
That's just the value of a guy like Tyler Heath. Someone who's just able to be smart. You would have thought a couple rushers had him dead to rights for a 5 or 6 yard loss there, but he's able to kind of make something out of nothing and set up a more manageable second down.
So 2nd and 8, and it was the slot corner that came after him and did a good job of the kind of shoulder shrug to wipe him away, pick up a couple of yards, come back, fight another day. Out of the gun, takes the snap. They're going to do it again, and this time caught, and I really think that time if the receiver, I think that's Fabian Brown, if he just gets north and south, he probably gets a few more yards out of that. Instead, tried to cut back. It limited his forward progress. It'll be 3rd down and 3.
Absolutely. He had room to the sideline, back turn, no vision up the field, decides to cut it inside, and it cost him a few yards.
And now we have a play blown dead, and this is going to be interesting because Sulphur jumped, Paris jumped. And we'll see what they say here.
Look to be from up here.
And this is going to be a false start against Paris.
Yeah, from up here it had looked like encroachment on Sulphur Springs, that Paris had been drawn off sides, had been drawn into the false start there, but yeah, that's a tough break.
That's the thing is you got to determine that the jump from the defense is what draws the offensive player off instead of just a true false start, because if they both jump and one doesn't have anything to do with the other, then it's on the offense. Tyler Heath trying to make something out of nothing, makes a man miss, and he's got room and deals it down the field, and that's going to be complete to Keyshawn Roberts, and a first down for the Paris Wildcats.
Tyler Heath making another huge play on this opening drive of the second half. Again, a man in the backfield, they bring the blitz, and he has him sort of dead to rights. Tyler Heath spins out of it, runs to the boundary, and he finds this guy for the first down.
Coach Hohenberger loves to use that word moxie when it comes to Tyler Heath, and now we have an official stopping play. Coach Hohenberger is out near the numbers,
discussing the spot where.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what's being said down there. Remember, this drive started at the 12 on that kick, and now they're up to the 33-yard line. And I don't know what the conversation is necessarily.
So neither team penalized, but Paris comes off the line and reforms their huddle.
I'm not sure that we'll get an explanation, and I think the Sulphur coaches are kind of looking for an explanation.
I saw a motion. He had placed the hands upon the shoulders, looked like maybe too many men in the huddle, but, 11 guys on Paris, 11 men on the field for Sulphur Springs. Maybe, not giving Sulphur enough time to get their subs on the field or something of the sort.
Well, Paris is still huddled up here. I'm betting that Matt Stepp from Dave Campbell's Texas High School Football, who's in the booth next to us, probably has a good idea of what was going on. And Coach Hornberger goes and, no hand signals here. Goes direct communication, direct line to his quarterback. And finally, it looks like we're going to play a little bit of football.
Paris started backed up at their own 12. They're able to pick up a big first down.
And they fake the screen inside and then go the other way with it. That's going to pick up a couple. And again, when you see something like that, and it picks up 4 or 5 yards, I always say that is the pass as an extension of your run game. Paris has ran less than 5 times tonight, if you don't count Tyler Heath quarterback runs, as Keyshawn Roberts kind of backing in for some yards, and that'll set up third down and medium.
He did well to get what he did. Blocking not great out there on the edge. And this is a group of receivers for Paris, obviously, that emphasize blocking. And, we know these are deeply unselfish players at the receiver position for the Wildcats. Just able to get off the blocks there.
He takes the snap, looking downfield, and he's going to go to Red Finch. Red's got it! A first down and a big one for the Paris Wildcats.
And Red Finch, he's working against Creed Weisenhunt of Sulphur Springs again out there on the boundary. We had seen them go one-on-one earlier in this game. He puts a nasty move on him.
Yeah, that was a sluggo double move, and Tyler Heath put it on the money.
An absolute dime sets the Paris Wildcats up, knocking on the door of the red zone.
Snap, they're going to throw short once again. Baby J with some blocks in front of him. Baby J down the sideline and finally makes his way out of bounds. It'll be a first down for the Paris Wildcats. First and goal from the 9.
I wonder why the clock isn't winding in this scenario.
It's going to depend on if they say forced out of bounds or out of bounds on his own. They're going to go right back to the short game with Keyshawn Roberts, and he'll pick up a couple. And Roberts' helmet comes off.
Let's once again put ourselves in Sulphur Springs' shoes. You start the game out really strong, playing your best football. You go up 17-0, and now the Paris Wildcats are threatening to punch this in the end zone and take the lead. I mean, you can start to feel very rattled if they're able to go up 21-17 with a quick score here.
4 wide, second and goal. Heath looking to the sideline. They do have ball in the backfield for the time being. Jamarius Shelton in the slot, bottom of the screen. Here's the snap. They keep ball in for some extra protection. Heath rolls out, and he will fire this one into the end zone, and touchdown, Paris Wildcats. And I'm trying to see who that is, and that might be Jeremiah Humphrey. And if it is, that'd be his first of the season. I'm still these old eyes on the other side of the field, brother. I don't know, but.
And he's been faced perpendicular to us up here.
We just see shoulders. But, man, that was an absolute dart from Tyler Heath. As now James Mitchell comes on. Snap, kick is up, and it is good. It's a 4-point Paris Wildcat lead, 21-17 from the Prim. We'll be right back with kickoff coming up on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh yeah, Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
And we are back, and this game has been flipped upside down on its head. Remember, Sulphur Springs got out to a 17-0 lead, and it really seemed like Paris, you know, there wasn't much resistance on defense. You couldn't move the ball on offense. And then here come the Wildcats from Lamar County.
Just a great way to be able to rally back in this one, scoring 21 unanswered points to take the lead over Sulphur Springs. You know, this is a team thus far this season that has struggled on the road at times, so incredible to see them fight their way back in this game.
Mitchell to kick off. Second half kickoffs brought to you by Harrison Walker and Harper, HWH. Thank you guys so very much for being a part of Paris Game Day in our community. As Mitchell gives the sign. Hits it high. Taken around the 16. And looks like Jacabrian Record comes in for the tackle along with Chris Garcia. And I tell you, Paris is fired up and Sulphur a little bit stunned.
Understandably so. You know, Sulphur Springs looking a little dejected at this point in the game. You got to think as a coach, this is kind of where your team needs you. You know, got to give your men what they need to hear to fight back in this game. If you're Sulphur Springs, because that's you know, bringing a rival into town, an in-district rival, and having them kind of punch you in the mouth after being down early is a tough situation to rally back from.
I always say, man, character is all about how you respond to a circumstance, and the Paris Wildcats have shown great character here tonight as Jeremiah Robinson comes up to make this tackle for short yardage, and he's pumped up, and that sophomore is going to be something, ladies and gentlemen.
Stephen, this team could not be more energized at the moment. They are flying to the football and eager to get really their first big stop of the game. Obviously, we ended the second half with a big sack from Boots Harper that, you know.
And the Marquise Shelton interception. So Cooper out of the gun, sprint, and he's under pressure, is able to escape a little bit, and then guess who it is that meets him? Boots Harper himself. And that'll set up 3rd down and 7.
You start to feel really shaky if you're Sulphur Springs and you come and go 3 and out after giving up 3 unanswered touchdowns. Could start to get in a really rough situation, you know, with this Paris Wildcats offense that's really been rolling you these past 3 possessions. It's a huge 3rd down at this point in the game, halfway through the 3rd quarter.
And I tell you, you know, Sulphur is massive up front, and Paris has some size on the defensive line, and then you see guys like Kobe Newberry lined up over center. And they're going to throw an inside screen, and this is just well defended from the Paris Wildcats. Brandon Shores, ladies and gentlemen. That is phenomenal read and react from the senior safety. 4th down, Sulphur Springs forced to punt.
And they had started this game struggling towards the boundary. Paris had, being scarred by these swing passes, these screens. They're able to stay home and sniff that one out, and a huge 3rd and out at this point, 3 and out at this point in the game. And
you do have to be careful. I understand 26-yard line, not a place you would really fake, but that is Jackson Hare. Instead, he gets a good punt off, and Keyshawn will let it bounce, and the Paris Wildcat offense comes out, led by Tyler Heath, who has distributed 3 touchdowns to 3 different wide receivers here tonight.
Tyler Heath, an incredible touchdown pass to cap off that last drive. Able to find Humphreys, in the middle of a crowd of bodies in the end zone. He rolls out toward the field side and, able to place a really accurate pass set up by the long Red Finch reception earlier in the drive, working against Creed Weisenhunt of the Sulphur Springs Wildcats.
And, just as that Red Finch catch was massive there, kind of reminded us of the Jacabrian record catch to end the first half that kept a drive alive where Paris scored. Empty gun, Heath going back to work, looking, finds a man on the boundary, and that is Roberts once again. And I tell you what, Paris is operating.
Moving the ball at will, as we had seen Sulphur Springs do to start out the game. They come out with a quick first down, and if they get rolling here, Sulphur Springs could be in some trouble.
Interesting wrinkle, Aldrin Gill in the game. Gill handed the ball, and he'll pick up 1.
We have seen them struggle a little bit to establish the running game. Obviously, Jerron Baugh getting stuffed on a big 3rd down in the first quarter, but, they've been able to push the ball down the field very effectively in the passing game.
And they go right back to that empty set, and they're going to throw the screen out. Keyshawn Roberts, and it might have gotten back to the original line of scrimmage before being taken down. And he'll actually lose a couple of yards, sets up 3rd and 11. There's a fan down there yelling for holding about every play, and I tell you, if you know ball, you lose yards on a play, you want that play because you also lose the down. And so that's actually a positive play for Sulphur Springs there to knock Paris back and take them to 3rd down. So Paris now will go 4 wide, single back to the right of Heath. Takes the snap, fake handoff, and throws it across the middle, and there is Keyshawn Roberts. And Keyshawn Roberts picks up the first down.
He'll take a seat after losing his helmet, but we've seen him at several points, make some incredible moves and just almost get out of some open field tackles there. He makes a big move to pick up the first down.
And I tell you what, man, who hasn't made a play for Paris? This one is thrown way down on the boundary. It's incomplete to Jamarius Shelton.
Yeah, them working from kind of closer to the right hash, throwing all the way across the field. And
yeah, that's a long throw for a screen. So 3rd and 10. Here's the snap. They're not going to throw it, so they're faking that handoff, and this one's going to be way, way overshot. So that will bring us to 4th down, and once again, the Paris Wildcats give up 1 first down and then force Sulphur Springs to punt.
And, you really got to admire as you mentioned, the ability of this Paris defense to adjust. We saw them, playing really close to the line of scrimmage. Press man coverage all the way down, and your furthest defender is 4 yards off the line of scrimmage. But now we see them playing a little more conservative, backed off, and they found a lot more success in limiting those chunk plays. And this Sulphur Springs offense has really been just searching for answers these past 3 or 4 drives.
So Hare back to punt, gets a good one away. And it will take a solid bounce right down the sideline to the 25. And I think the coaches are saying, man, y'all got to go field that and try to make something happen. And I agree.
Field position in the game of football is way more important than a lot of people think. If you take a look at the data, just a difference of 5 yards actually makes a huge difference in terms of your expected points on that drive. Just going from somewhere like the 30 to the 40, a huge difference in likelihood to score a touchdown.
Well, look at the difference that it's made in the NFL with kickoff rules over the years, moving the ball from the 20, 25, 35. Now there's rules where you can get it up at the 30, and it alters your game plan and how you approach that situation. So you're absolutely right, as Paris is going to go into the pistol for the first time tonight, and heavy to the left, and they hand off to Baugh, and there's just not much there. And really what I think that run is get us to the 4th quarter. Get us to the other side of this break with a lead. Then we'll go and score another touchdown, make it a 2-score game in quarter number 4. We're going to be right back. Paris with the lead, 21-17, 21 unanswered from the Lamar County Wildcats here on Game Day.
Ready to rep your school and your wallet?
I'm here to open a student account and score that sweet school debit card.
With no monthly fees, mobile banking, and a debit card that shows your school pride, our student account is built for your game plan.
Get in the game. Open yours today.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
First Federal Community Bank, the only bank you'll ever need.
And back here on Game Day with the Paris Wildcats leading 21-0, or excuse me, they're on a 21-0 run, so in a way, but 21-17 over Sulphur Springs, and 2nd down and 10 for the Paris Wildcats. But you know what? Get down in distance, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. Latter half of the 2nd quarter, 3rd quarter has not mattered. They have made huge plays on 2nd and 3rd down.
They have. They've been very efficient in these 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations. Look to see them go right back to that intermediate passing game here on 2nd down.
And they'll go back to the pistol with Hohenberger motioning left to right and then looking deep. They got a man down the sideline, and Keyshawn Roberts just can't hold on to it. It was there. It was on the money. Roberts had it in the palms.
Paris Wildcats, little sick with the dropsies, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the 3rd drop of the 2nd half. Now, they did end up, scoring whenever they had back-to-back drops on 1st and 2nd down. Now it's 3rd and 10. Here's the snap. Heavy pressure, and this one, your running back's not looking. I think he had to deliver a little quicker than he wanted. You had heavy pressure that time coming from T.J. Bolden, who they've sent a number of times here in the 2nd half. And Paris will punt.
Nifty little nickel blitz we've seen out of them, and it did disrupt the timing, but, as if you're drawn by, you got to get your head around for that football.
And a good punt from Paris. And, just kind of scooting down the sideline, is able to hit some white there. And that saves some field position for Sulphur Springs. Now, Paris has had to punt a couple of times in a row. You're in the fourth quarter, one-score game. You have held Sulphur Springs offense at bay since that disastrous first quarter. However, you want your defense to stand tall, right? Coach Hohenberger has been calling them Buffalo. We got Buffalo on the field here, all right? But at some point, you got to figure that Sulphur Springs, with the playmakers and the big offensive front they have, are going to do something. Snap, sprint right, throwing out to the sideline, and Red Finch is there, and that ends up doing not a whole lot.
Yeah, great pursuit, And
a flag comes out late, and
maybe.
another flag comes out.
Like for taunting. Unsportsmanlike little extracurriculars after the play, and in all likelihood, Paris is going to be backing up 15 yards.
Yeah, and that's something you just cannot do at this juncture in the game.
Yep, called on Brendan Shores.
You cannot aid a team that you have been absolutely smothering down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Paris with all the momentum, but you're only up 4 points in this game. Sulphur Springs can go right back down and take back the lead.
And this is the first time that Sulphur Springs has been in Wildcat territory in quite some time. As they go back to the run game, there's a hole on the right side, and Chris Garcia grabs him by the coattail. And that'll be near first down area as well.
I believe that was a tucked towel Garcia had a hole of there.
Well, if that's the case, that thing was tucked tight, yeah. And once again, we have a situation where the nose of the ball is touching, and they show second and short, and now, yeah, the officials have had to kind of deal with this with the chain gang all night, like kind of uberly encouraging them to move the chains. But nonetheless, and after the penalty, what happens next? 10-yard run. You cannot let them get momentum back. Here's the snap, handoff through that hole, and Boots Harper comes up and makes a tackle, but again, another 9-10-yard run. And they're going to signal first down. Now, the ball is spotted. The line judge signaled first down. They don't have things set. Yeah, we're going to have to pause for a second. No, they have the ball spotted short, and now they're re-spotting the ball to the 24. It was sitting on the 25. The line judge was saying first down. The referee was saying first down. Two other officials had the ball short, and now Paris is going to take a timeout. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Josh Urette, project manager with 2B Builders. We're a local GC here in Texarkana. We have Lone Star out here doing our heating and AC. They do a good job for us. We really appreciate the customer service that they provide. I know that at Lone Star Heating and Air, I can always call Matt or Dave, their head commercial HVAC guy, and they will always pick up the phone when I need them. And that's a big thing when we're working out here on these commercial projects. Usually when we're in a bind, we need something and we need it pretty quickly, and we can rely on Lone Star for that.
All right, out of the timeout, first down, and hand off to Hare. And Boots Harper will take him down after a good first down run. That'll bring up 2nd down and 4.
Sulphur Springs driving here in the fourth quarter could be headed for a thrilling finish. You know, if you're Paris, you had all the momentum in this game and opportunities to go and extend your lead. Brendan Shores, you know, feeling a touchdown slip through his hands, drops affecting the offense, and now you might be looking at going back down in this game once again.
Snap back, fakes the handoff, and then this one thrown and fought out of the hands of the receiver, Brandon Shores. Like I said, character is how you respond, and Brandon Shores comes up with a big PBU.
Just took the touchdown right out of his hands. Just an incredible play to save a touchdown by Brendan Shores.
And speaking of right out of his hands, man, that he nearly ended up with that one as well. And, man, you know, when they're that close, you kind of get the feeling that a guy's going to get one at some point. Pretty crucial 3rd down here. Sulphur Springs in 4-down territory without question. Handoff, a lot of traffic, a lot of trash. And Paris stands tall as Caden Newberry and Chris Garcia step up to make the stop. And it'll be 4th down and 3.
And Sulphur Springs sending the field goal unit on. And that's a decision I really wouldn't consider here.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you do make it within a field goal. Cut it from 4. No, they're just going Wildcat. They changed formations to go Wildcat with Hare. Also try to get Paris to jump.
Sulphur Springs only 2 timeouts. Not really in a good position to run the hard count.
Here's the snap. Hare around the right side. He's into the end zone. Touchdown. And Sulphur Springs back on top. Just under 9 minutes to play. And, yeah, the Hopkins County Wildcats feeling good. And a flag comes out late after the play. And we've seen a taunting from Sulphur Springs and a taunting from did he forget about his flag?
Yeah, looks like Laundry just left in the end zone between the
Yeah, and he may enforce this on the kickoff is what may be happening here, because there's a flag down, whether it's intentional or not. And now let's see here.
I don't see any referee making a motion to go collect that
No,
flag.
he's walking off on his own, and now this official runs right past it as well and pointing it out to him. Yeah, that was not intentional.
You dropped this?
We're going to keep it right here because we wanted to, see what that flag was about, and the official who picked it up waves it off. So simply fell out of the pocket.
I got to say, I've seen a lot of football in my life, and I've never seen a referee accidentally drop out a penalty flag.
Right. So the Paris offense getting ready to come back out onto the field and now trailing 24-21 to Sulphur Springs. And, it's like I said, hey, back-to-back offense didn't really move, wasn't able to get anything going, had to punt a couple of times. And even though the offense got you back in it, Sulphur Springs will score. Sulphur Springs will come up with an answer, and they did on that last drive. And now Paris has to come up with an answer, as this one is kind of that line drive once again. Paris picks it up around the 13-yard line. It's Finch, and he'll go past the 20 to around the 25. And that's where the offense led by Tyler Heath will come out officially at the, looks like the 24-yard line. And one thing about those previous drives, Evan, is Paris went to a heavier front. They had an H-back on the field instead of that 5-wide, 4-wide, 1-back set. And lo and behold, we come out here with Sulphur scoring and taking a lead, and here comes Paris back in their 4-wide set. And I wouldn't be surprised if the back in the backfield ended up in the slot somewhere. And there he goes. Heath dropping back to throw. He's got a man wide open. Fabian Brown. Fabian Brown off to the races. One man to beat. Takes him down inside the 15-yard line. And Paris, character, how do you respond?
And Creed Weisenhunt of the Sulphur Springs has himself another tough break. You know, he's been working against Fabian Brown and Red Finch in this one. Paris able to rip off a huge gain, you know, kind of sap that momentum right back from Sulphur Springs.
You sap it, you got to score in order to drain it. Handoff, Gill, and he'll be taken down after a very short gain. And, you know, you're going to look at the numbers following this game, and you'll look at the rushing statistics for Paris, and you'll be like, man, there's just nothing there. You know, you're looking at 2 yards per carry average, if that. And then you're going to look at the passing statistics, and they go right back to an empty gun set, as they should.
You know, these backs are doing all they can. Just the running lanes have not been there. You know, Sulphur Springs defense that definitely understands how to play their run fits.
Sprint out right by Heath. He reverses course going left. Has some room to run if he wants, and he wants into the end zone. Tyler Heath. Moxie. That's Coach Hohenberger's word for him. Moxie.
And just another superstar run by Tyler Heath. You know, rolling out right. Nothing's open downfield. You know, doesn't want to uncork a ill-advised pass. Cuts it back to the left, and he finds a lane and takes it in for the score.
I wonder how many coaches, opposing coaches in the film room, have looked at their team when they see a Tyler Heath run and have said, guys, he's not that fast. Guys, he's not that this. He's not that. And then game time comes around and he blows right by them.
Tyler Heath is a guy that gives me sort of Stetson Bennett vibes, you know. Guy who can sling it but can be sneaky fast some of the time. Occasionally can just turn on the jets.
Paris regains the lead. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
At Moore Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram of Paris, we can make your next vehicle purchase simple, stress-free, and built around you. Whether you're looking for a rugged Ram truck, an adventurous Jeep, or a quality pre-owned, we have the right vehicle for you at the right price. And with over 700 five-star reviews, our customers know that our friendly, knowledgeable staff is here for you. So come see us off the loop in Paris, Texas, and for more details, visit moorecdjr.
And back here on Game Day as the Paris Wildcats regain the lead, 28-24. Sulphur Springs had an answer the last time they had. For the Paris Wildcats.
This will be another flag down.
I think that's Red Finch's mouthpiece. Oh, there is a flag at the 35. That's towards the end of the play. So let's see what this one is. But, you know, I wouldn't mind going just back and forth. It's against Paris. I didn't see the call, but I wouldn't mind going back and forth as long as Paris has the ball last.
Flag, Hare brought down by the face mask. And
gotcha.
You know, this has kind of turned into a thrilling back and forth affair. You know, coaching is going to become really important here because the clock is going to really, whoever has the ball last in all likelihood is going to go on to win this game. This is where coaching and discipline is really going to show up for these two teams.
Hard count. And then Mason Cooper, quarterback, steps back. They're going with the option. And once again, Hare makes a good run up to the 20. And we've talked about this before. You know, Boots Harper doing his job. You know, he is going out there smoking the quarterback on the option. That's what you're supposed to do. They've got to have someone in there to cover the pitch man, because the only time that play hasn't worked tonight is when they had miscommunication on offense and the pitch man wasn't there.
Absolutely. You know, that's the kind of play you show the team on huddle during a meeting. Scout team's going to run this play, and we're going to be ready for it.
Snap, fake the handoff. Hare dodges a tackle, and finally Cam Floyd is there to take him down. Chris Garcia had a shot at him, but, you know, you want to know what kind of an athlete and football player Jackson Hare is. It's tough to make Chris Garcia miss, and he did just that.
Yeah, Jackson Hare, a huge weapon. He's having himself a great game already and has the chance to have an even greater game. Sulphur Springs inside the red zone with a chance to take the lead right back in a fourth quarter that's been back and forth with time ticking out in the fourth quarter.
So Sulphur Springs with Cooper handing off to Hare, going to the right side, and Brandon Shores comes up along with Garcia to make a tackle for minimal gain, picks up 2. And, you know, talking about Jackson Hare, look, I get it. We're a Paris Wildcat broadcast. We will talk great about these kids all day long. Jackson Hare, though, he's been on this team since he was a sophomore. So I've been seeing him for a number of years play against the Paris Wildcats. And he has so many football skills. He's not a blazing fast kid, but he does so many football things right. You could really do anything you want with him. As Paris nearly jumps, they're able to stay in the neutral zone. Mason Cooper gives orders to the offensive line. And now here comes Paris once again. It's the option, and once again, there's no one there to take the pitch man, and they will be near a first down. It'll be third and about 1.5 yards.
Almost feels like, you know, if you've ever played a lot of video game football, sometimes you find a play that can kind of cheese the AI, the computer, that they just can't respond to. And, you know, that speed option has gotten them again and again and again.
Well, if you're watching that play, you see Boots Harper kind of bait. He almost, you know, I got to come off of the quarterback and take the pitch man myself, and nearly came up with something. Hare going back into the Wildcat on 3rd and short. And he will pick up the first down, and there's a Wildcat helmet on the ground.
Hare had a ton of room to the outside, just decides to kind of plunge forward in between his blockers.
So with 4.5 minutes to play, look, I get it. You know, you don't want Sulphur Springs to score. 1st and goal from the 4.
If you're Paris, you almost feel like you got him right where you want him. You know, they can't take too much more time off the clock here inside the 10-yard line.
So moving to the left, Garcia in pursuit, Hare to the corner, and he's in for the touchdown. 4:09 to go in this ball game. And clearly you kicked the extra point, but, you know, we talked about, will it be, there's a flag down. It's hard to see because it's on the soccer box, which is painted yellow.
To be in the area of holding.
That is the area of holding. After the touchdown, dead ball personal foul against Sulphur Springs. So, and of course, Paris will say enforce that on the kickoff. And that's exactly what happens. So, that is a pretty critical mistake.
Absolutely.
From Sulphur Springs.
Yeah, you know, I'm a field position guy, and yeah, as they should, enforce that on the kickoff. And
well, you think about where Paris has started some of these drives on the kickoff with how great of a job their kicker has done in hitting some squirrely ones. And now you give up 15 yards instead of, you know, the 15, 20, 25 where Paris had been starting. You could be looking at 30, 35, 40. Extra point attempt from Sulphur is up, and it is good. 3-point lead for the Hopkins County Wildcats. Paris taking the kickoff when we come back here on Game Day.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jason with Golden Corral in Texarkana. I've got big cheers going out to Lone Star Heating and Air. I talked with Matt Shirley over at Lone Star Heating and Air. They actually came out, looked to see what we needed. They ordered the supplies or the equipment and everything. They came in and they did the install. They did 2 units in one day with no business disruptions whatsoever. Thanks to Lone Star Heating and Air, we got our air up and going and everything's running good.
Back here on Game Day, and just so you guys know, just letting you guys know in Lamar County, the Paris Boys and Girls Club football, last home game at Paris High tomorrow, 1st and 2nd grade, kicking off at 9 a.m. Wildcat Stadium. So you guys go check out your future Wildcats tomorrow morning. It is never not entertaining, I promise you.
Absolutely. And, you know, I say this as a self-proclaimed former Boys and Girls Club football star. It's it can be very fun to watch.
So you're going to have Marquis Shelton along with Keyshawn Roberts and Aldrin Gill back deep to receive this kick. Just over 4 minutes remaining in this ball game. The kick will come from 25. And so Paris, you know, a couple of these have bounced in front of them. They've had trouble. This kicker from Sulphur has done a phenomenal job of, you know, kind of doing some dirty kicks. And here it is again, just that line drive, high hop, taken by Keyshawn Roberts. And Roberts around the right side. Keyshawn Roberts down the sideline. Keyshawn Roberts, one man to beat, taken down. And the Paris Wildcats, with 3:58 to go here in this ball game, will set up. And if I'm the Paris Wildcats, I'm having a coach go up to sophomore James Mitchell and be like, all right, buddy, let's calm the nerves. You know what I'm saying?
That is, you know, the only thing if you're Paris, obviously the incredible return by Roberts sets you up in the red zone to start this drive, but you know, you haven't really been able to get the running game going. You might not be able to take a lot of time off this clock. So, you know, obviously go punch this in, take the lead, but, you know, might not be able to slowly matriculate it down the field like you may have hoped.
You have to, if you can score, you have to score. And then rely on your defense. That's the name of the game. Heath rolling out to his right, looking, and, oh, this one was dangerous. He had Red Finch, just misfired. And that'll bring up 2nd down and stop the clock at 3:53.
Heath, the first, you know, majorly inaccurate ball we've seen from him. He's thrown some beautiful passes in this game deep down the field that, you know, is the reason Paris is still fighting in this one, coming back from a 17-point deficit.
Drawn ball is the back in the backfield. It's a light box, but Sulphur has given the light box all night, and Truth Holmes, a Division I commit, and the rest of that Sulphur Springs front have been tough regardless. Heath is going to take off, and this one's dropped. You can't have that. You cannot have that. And now it's third down. You got 2 shots, but I tell you what, that is tough.
And you'd hate to settle for the field goal here. Getting set up at the opposing 16-yard line. You know, Tyler Heath there showcases his ability to kind of climb the pocket, to weave through the pressure and find his guy. A major drop at this point in the game.
And that has been the case a little bit here in the second half for the Paris Wildcats. Record goes in motion, left to right. Heath looking, throwing. He's going to Record, and it is caught. Touchdown Paris Wildcats. Jacabrian Record, his second of the night. And Sulphur Springs is asking for a flag. It looked like the defender just went down, and Baby J has the double.
James Johnson chasing him across the formation. You know, Record had a good 2 or 3 steps on him, and defender falls down and leaving him wide open for a touchdown, a go-ahead touchdown late in this fourth quarter.
And now this is an important kick as well to take it from 3-4 for James Mitchell. And a really good snap. Operation is perfect. Paris back up. Sulphur needs a touchdown. And we will be right back here on Game Day.
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
Back on Game Day, and I tell you what, our producer, former Paris Wildcat player, Reed Preston, doing a fantastic job here tonight, but yeah, he's a little bit anxious. You know, he knows what these Sulphur Springs matchups are like as a former Paris Wildcat himself. And there have been some crazy things happen in these Paris versus Sulphur Springs Wildcat on Wildcat games. And what did we say earlier about this game? Going back and forth, you're looking at probably the last one who has the ball. So this is going to come down to Sulphur Springs offense versus Paris's defense with 3:38 to go in the ball game. Mitchell hits this one high and deep. Got to limit the kickoff, taken by Martin at the 10. And there's a little bit of room to run, a lot of room to run down the sideline and taken down across midfield. And now here's the thing, it has to be a touchdown.
Absolutely. You can't afford anything less if you're Sulphur Springs. You know, they're set up in really good field position as Paris was. You've got to take this down and score it, so look for Paris to protect the sidelines and play a little more conservatively on defense.
And if you're Sulphur, the thing about it, Paris struck quick. Bam, got down the field into the end zone. Sulphur, it's been right the opposite. Their run game has worked way more than their passing game, and so that's what they'll rely on. But there is, well, you had him, and then a flag comes out, and now, boy, I tell you, I'm almost to let him score territory at that point. I know that you can't. The flag is going to be a face mask. I'm, you know, at this point, I'm kind of on put it on the arm of Tyler Heath.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because this is down to the, let's see where they officially, it's hard to know what the spot is. You got a guy standing at the 11, a guy standing at the 16. Ball is at the 16, but that's going to go half the distance to the goal after the penalty. Assuming that it is it is a face mask. I was going to say, could be a hold, but it is a face mask.
And that'll be, looks to be half the distance to the goal. Yeah, you're almost in let him score territory. You know, if you'd watched the Dallas Cowboys,
they tried.
Absolutely gift a game to the Carolina Panthers. Matt Eberflus had instructed them to kind of let Chuba Hubbard go in, unsuccessful, but that would have played out to their advantage, obviously.
Because you would have the ball more than 3 minutes, 2 timeouts. You know, clock wouldn't necessarily be a real factor. So I know that is a tough thing for a coach to say. You want your defense to stand up and go win you the ball game. But, brother, it's 35-31, and what kind of ball game did I say this was going to be?
Yeah, I might look to take a timeout here. You know, them inside the 10.
You also have the 2-minute timeout, and Paris only has 2, remember. Hard count, and then Sulphur's going to take a timeout.
They had burned their 1 timeout earlier in this game on, you know, kind of an odd sequence.
Timeout. We're going to step aside. We'll be right back here on Game Day.
Oh, man.
At Raffaele Property Management, keeping our tenants comfortable is a top priority. That's why we trust Lone Star Heat and Air. They've always been dependable, quick to respond, and their work is top-notch. Whether it's routine service or an urgent call, they take care of it with professionalism and care. We couldn't recommend Lone Star Heat and Air more for anyone looking for a reliable HVAC service.
Second half timeouts brought to you by Glass Land and Home. Thank you guys so very much for being a part of this, Mr. Brian Glass. 2:56 on the clock. Here in Sulphur Springs, Paris leading 35-31 in a shootout. Sulphur first and goal from the 8. And they're going to go Wildcat with Jackson Hare. And if you're Sulphur, you also have you have to go in if you can go in.
Absolutely.
Okay, actually, Cooper is on the field.
You know, if I'm Paris, I'm going for broke here. I'm stripping this ball or I'm letting them into the end zone.
But it is Wildcat, and it is Hare. And another flag comes out. This is going to be another face mask, and that's it. I'm done. It's first down again. I'm done. Let them in. Let them in.
You guys can have it.
Let them in. Put it on your quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You know, that would put them down only 3 points in this game as they take another face mask penalty. That'll include a runoff on the clock, and they'll go half the distance to the goal with the first down.
You have to remember, you're up 4 on them. They have to score a touchdown. The other foot
Sorry you're under the weather, Susie. Here are those loan docs.
Thanks, James. I'm so glad we didn't have to delay this closing.
Tissue?
Thanks.
Secure and safe loan closings, or take care of just about any banking task. Experience the credit union difference. Anytime, anywhere. With RRCU's digital banking. Do you RRCU?
I can tell you right now, we're saying that up here in the booth. The other side of that is not who Coach Hohenberger is. At the end of the day, he is a defensive-minded coach. You know, last week against Aubrey, yeah, it was a blowout, but Aubrey had 1st and goal from the 1, and Coach Hohenberger said, do not let them in. They didn't get in. This is a different team in Sulphur Springs, but he's bringing that same mentality here tonight.
Absolutely, a defensive head coach who is playing for a goal line stand. Here we go.
So Hare, 2nd and goal from the 4, was knocked backwards by Cam Floyd the play before. Snap. Running to the right side, and they had him, and a flag comes out, and this might be a hold against Sulphur Springs.
Absolutely, yeah. Look for them to get Aiden McCarroll, left tackle, out on the boundary working.
I will say, man, I hope there wasn't a tug on the face mask. Yep. You got to let him in now.
And that's a third face mask penalty on the Paris Wildcats on this drive. Oh, is that backbreaking?
Now it's a 25-second clock, so they do have to run a play.
Think about how that changes the game situation.
Everything. It changes everything, yeah.
1st and goal from the 1, and you have no timeouts. There's going to be a stoppage at the 2-minute timeout, but that's it.
So what it looks like Coach Faircloth is going to do is call a timeout, and what that is going to accomplish, you know, we'll let our clock get in sync with theirs as well. But what's going to happen here is you can run a play that will go beyond the 2-minute mark. It will stop at the 2-minute timeout, but it'll be more like 1:57, you know, instead of 2 minutes precisely. So now that's the part of the game that we're in, the minutia of the game we're in, where, you know, the game of inches, every second counts, those types of things that sound like, you know, they're stereotypes to sports, but now it's real.
Yeah, that is nothing but pure gamesmanship. And, you know,
because you could keep that timeout and you could go run a play and maybe get into the end zone, but at the same time, you leave a second or two on the clock more. You know, I mean, that's just part of it, and save that timeout for when Paris takes the ball.
What you'd really love to do here, if you're Sulphur Springs, is to fail on these first 3 downs and score it on 4th.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of clock management,
they are big and heavy up on the right side. Sulphur Springs is. They go to Hare. Hare doesn't get in. And there you go. So 2-minute timeout. Yeah, we're getting some home cooking over here on this clock.
Yeah, just let it run.
We should be looking at 155, 156, and the clock operator runs it to 147. 156, there we go. 2-minute timeout. We will be right back here on Game Day.
We're here at the biggest game of the year for the kickoff, and I say these local guys have no competition, John.
No doubt, Stephen. Why sweat in the press box?
When you can sit like a king.
And we got the best seats in the house right here, baby.
Where every seat is the best seat.
Oh, yeah. Texas Furniture and Appliance. Local since 1927.
These players are definitely in their comfort zone.
You say something?
And out of the timeout, ball is at the 1-yard line for what feels like has been an eternity.
Paris taking 3 costly personal fouls on this drive, all face masks and
all valid. You know, there is no, well, the refs did this, did that. No, that's, you know, they got it. So 156 on the clock as Hare takes the snap, and he lunges across for the touchdown. Paris is going to have 1:51 with no timeouts left. And, as we figure, it'll be 3, right? 3-point deficit. And you have to, if you're Sulphur Springs, you see how Paris's offense has been operating. Now, a critical thing that will tell you that happens when Paris takes over, the clock stops for a first down to reset the chains, reset the ball, so your hurry-up offense can move efficiently if you're getting chunks. The extra point, kick is up, and it is good. So 38-35, Evan, we're going to keep it right here on Paris Game Day. And I got to say, man, this is every bit – man, thinking back to pregame, I said 38-35. I said 38-35.
And here's hoping it doesn't end up that way.
I hope this is not the score at the end of this night.
Stephen, blessing it with the classic announcer's jinx. If you're Paris, there's a lot of time left on this clock. 1:51, from Sulphur Springs' perspective, probably seems like an eternity. And it definitely was to your advantage if you're Paris to let them score on second down versus fourth. Saving yourself 40 seconds, 120 seconds maybe.
Red Finch, Keyshawn Roberts, Marquise Shelton back to receive the kick. You also got Jacabrian Record. It's up there a little bit. Now, that's because he is perhaps your best blocking wide receiver. And then Jamarius Shelton, Tannen Hohenberger in the middle. And you could use another big-time kickoff return. And they punch it high, and Baby J calls for a fair catch, keeps the clock where it's at. And the Paris Wildcat offense comes out 1:51 with 70 yards to go.
Steven, this is the drive people are going to remember this season for, looking back on it. I mean, right here, you have the opportunity to go down, take the lead, and in all likelihood, punch your ticket to the playoffs right here, right now. It doesn't get better than this on the road against an in-district rival, as we've said. They're going to have to come up big here.
Heath out of the gun, single back, takes the snap. Back is there to protect, throwing out to the boundary. It's caught by Roberts, and that's a solid first down play to get up near the first down marker. Gain of 9, and then get out of bounds.
And to get out of bounds. Very well thought out. Roberts, smart, gets to the boundary.
Yeah, if you can take 7 seconds for every 9 yards, you are cooking.
Absolutely.
The math checks out.
Works out wonderfully, and see what the Cats have on second down.
Now, with that said, you can throw to the middle of the field. Clock stops with a first down. Here's the snap. Dropping back, pressure, and it's intercepted. And an official gets knocked over, but that's going to do it. That's going to be the ball game. And I don't know, going back, looking at that play, I'm not sure if, they had the free runner at Tyler Heath.
Yeah, free rusher right up the middle. Tyler Heath tries to make that throw off his back foot and throws it right into the teeth of this defense.
And that's tough because that's, victory formation is coming.
A crusher to seal it late. You had all this momentum. Your offense is humming in the second half, and all it takes is one mistake for it all to fall apart. And in all likelihood, it looks like, you may have predicted the exact final score in pregame.
Yeah, usually as a sports fan, you like to beat your chest and say that's awesome. This is not awesome. So there's the snap. Neal And we only got another one or two of those. And this is tough. But I tell you what, coming down from a 17-0 hole, you know, you're going to look at things from that perspective. We can't put ourselves in that situation, first and foremost. You can't go down 17-0 and expect to win ball games. Coach Hornberger will tell you that in a heartbeat. The 2024 Paris Wildcats will tell you that in a heartbeat. They were a second-half juggernaut a year ago. But going down like that early is certainly hard to overcome. And there's the next one and one more kneel down, and this one is a wrap from Prim Stadium.
You know, Wildcats, this is going to be a tough bus ride home. Maybe a tough week, you know, going over this game, trying to, you know, as a coach, trying to lead your guys into these next 2 weeks. Obviously, Salina coming to town next Friday, and you'll finish off the year at Community. You're just trying to build something for these last two district games and heading into what looks to be a more unlikely postseason berth.
Well, no, beating Aubrey really put you in a great position for the playoffs because your last game is Community. You beat Lake Dallas. You know, you're in great position to make the playoffs, but all likelihood, all signs point to the fourth spot. And so the fourth spot, until next year, from what I understand, you're still going 1-4 matchup, so you're going to play a district title winner. And that's assuming that everything works out where you do beat Community, right? So with that said, the Paris Wildcats, they fall 38-35 to Sulphur Springs here at Prim Stadium in a really hard-fought game as Coach Hornberger and Coach Faircloth shake hands at midfield. But that's going to do it for our broadcast here tonight. Thank each and every one of you for tuning in to this game. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Don't enjoy the outcome, but, man, a fun one to call. For Evan Brazil, Reed Preston, our producer, Brittany Young, Ava Langley, Tatiana Coleman on the cameras here tonight. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in to Paris Game Day. And